What's up, y'all? It's the Relentless podcast where we're stirring up passion and purpose for marriage.
That's right. We're diving into topics you always wanted to talk about. Real life, real struggles, real love, and real results. So what are we waiting for? Let's go in.
Welcome back, y'all, to season 3. We're in episode, 2
I think we on 2, yeah.
Yeah, so be sure to catch up if you missed any part of season 2. We tried to switch things up, but we had some really good topics. So definitely go back, check it out, get caught up, season 1, season 2, wherever you need to get caught up. But make sure you like and subscribe, share it if you've already done that. We just want to connect with more couples. So.
Yeah. We've seen some boosting viewers lately too, man. So we're glad
y'all.
about that, man. Thank y'all for going back, checking these things out, man. We love y'all for that. And we got some more great stuff coming y'all's way.
Definitely. Well, I had to put on my Christmas gift. Mr. Jones really outdid himself this year.
I tried.
Yes.
I tried.
Yes. I mean, you've gone above and beyond a lot, but I was just surprised at how intentional you were. He got this sweatshirt and obviously just wishing rest for me and some house shoes because he noticed that I had been like tipping around the house.
Yeah, she been tiptoeing, man.
Yes.
So I was like, I need to get you some fluffy house shoes for you to like unplug with, walk, you know what I mean? Especially when it was cold. I know you don't like being cold.
Yeah, and we had a webinar and I told him he actually bought some underwear, which I don't remember him ever doing. And it wasn't like Victoria's Secret, which is important to me. If you know me, I'm just functional. And so anyway, he did all of that and it just showed me he pays attention. He was looking up sizes and that just, I don't know, it made my day. So I wanted to shout that out because Valentine's Day is coming up. You don't have to go big or go home. You can be simple but thoughtful and intentional. Yeah. And it goes a long way.
Well, thank you for the shout out.
Yes.
You know, thank you. Appreciate it. You worth it, man. I'm trying to do better, fellas. We out there. We trying to do better. You may not always start out being the romantic, considerate guy, and along the way you learn, man, I should have did that. Man, I should have been more thoughtful. I'm still in the trenches trying to learn it, but try something.
Yeah.
Do something. Take
different.
action. You know what I mean? Yeah, so hey, it worked. It worked that time.
And I've been playing video games. You gonna tell them about that? I followed through. That was my goal for last year.
She did make a goal to play video games with me, and then we played once, I think. Right?
Yes.
We played.
You just been busy. You been busy.
I hadn't even been playing like that either, man. But we played once. That was a free download game. It was called It Takes Two. It's actually a marriage game. It was already on my radar, but then I was like, okay, that was God right there.
Yes.
He put it on the monthly free download for PlayStation 5. I downloaded that boy. And then we got a chance to play probably about 2 or 3 weeks ago.
So let us know if y'all would like to see us play that and like do commentary.
Stream it or something.
Yeah, director's view.
Yeah, we laid up and played a little bit. It was actually pretty cool, man. But I think it was cool seeing you pick up the control and play, you know what I mean, and kind of actually get into it a little bit.
Yeah,
and that was fun.
We'll be celebrating 17 years, but you can't give up. You got to keep doing new things, keep chasing each other, pursuing each other.
Yeah, man. Stay in the hunt. You know what I mean? Stay in the hunt, man. That's pivotal for the marriages, man. Keep the blood flowing. Keep the love alive.
Yeah, so we wanted to bring back communication as a topic because that's probably been one of our more popular episodes. Yeah. But we want to focus on when is it appropriate to communicate about the marriage outside of the marriage and when it's not, and all of that, right? Because there's lots of thoughts. And challenges with that.
Well, yeah, I mean, recently with a lot of our coaching and mediation, we've been experiencing like an uptick in emotional vulnerability, or the lack thereof, right? Like the lack of emotional connection with spouses, feeling like everything else is jiving, from collaborating to pay the bills to picking up kids and doing all that. But when it comes to really just knowing each other, being vulnerable with each other, and emotionally feeling like, man, are we even connected anymore? Like, I mean, it's a real big thing that is actually like putting a wedge in marriages.
Right.
And so that's just been a big uptick lately.
Yeah. So we want to talk about it. So let's start with, I guess, when is it, like, what is the general consensus about communicating outside? Because I know we talk a lot about the marriage being the safest, most satisfying place on the earth. It should be, right? That's the goal. It's not always going to be perfect, But the goal is that this thing is healthy. We're trusting God with everything. We depend on Him, but this is a source of life. It's a source of joy and fulfillment. So when is it not okay to step out, and then when are some times that maybe it's necessary?
Yeah, man, that's a pivotal question, because a
and
lot
to
be
of clear, not step out infidelity wise. I'm saying
don't be stepping out. Please don't step out. We not telling y'all.
But when you need a healthy outlet, when this is not safe, when it's not satisfying, and you need emotional safety and support, and it's not there, like, where do you draw the line?
Yeah, man, that's a case by case scenario. I will say that for sure. I know in general, boundaries are necessary in the marriage, for sure, and the respect of those boundaries needs to be taken in consideration. There's been a few situations recently where the primary issue in the relationship was the fact that, man, this spouse is not respecting my boundary that I don't want our personal business being talked about amongst other people that I didn't know about or didn't give consent or approval to. And that was a big, huge wedge in their relationship, because they felt disrespected, they felt outed, they felt like they were being painted in a certain way to other individuals, and it just created a lot of friction. And so I would say there should be some kind of conversation to where, hey, I need some outside support. Is it okay if I go counseling, or if I go to a third party for direction or wisdom, that I'm doing it, versus it being like, okay, I'm just going out here, spilling the tea everywhere, right? Because there's some times where, okay, we in some deep stuff, and we need some work. I need to talk to somebody other than you, and I need to have the access to do that. There's times I just think it needs to be some kind of communication, if possible. Right, and there's some other cases.
I was going to say, probably the first time I can think of on the podcast, I disagree just a little bit, because what comes to mind is, number one, if there's already a lack of safety in our communication and in that emotional safety, it may not be okay for you to say, hey, can I go? Right? If it's a controlling spouse, you think they're going to be okay with that? No. And some of them will try to control you. So I would just say there's not like a black or white, right or wrong answer. I think if you're coming from a place of honor for the marriage, right, you're trying your best to honor the spouse. But again, you need to be healthy. I don't think there's anything wrong with going to seek, therapy if you need it for you, whether your spouse agrees or not, because the goal is, I want to be healthy for you so I can show up healthy. However, that's different with talking about business. So I'll speak from example. When we were going through a lot of our challenges, you had this perception that I was going to different people and just like cackling like women do. Which, first of all, I'm not even that type of girl. I think you've grown to know that. I'm not like that. So if I did go outside, it was to a trusted mentor. It was to godly counsel. And I wasn't giving details of our situation, but hey, I'm struggling. I don't know what to do. I need wisdom, like with a blanket thing. So that, I would say that's different. I didn't go out airing our laundry, but I had an outlet to say, hey, I need help, I need support, I need prayer coverage. And I hope y'all can understand the difference.
No, for sure, for sure, definitely. I agree with that. I'm just saying in the context of these recent upticks.
No, for sure.
That's been kind of somewhat of the framework. Is like, hey, we didn't talk about you going to, like, it's kind of been that. So I'm saying in the context of that.
No, 100%.
Man, if there was some established boundaries already, man, let's try to respect and honor those. If the situation gets to level 10 and it's an extreme unsafe situation, that's a different scenario, which is what I was mentioning. There are other scenarios where you just need to go. Right. You just need to go get help. You just need to go get assistance.
Right.
In those times, but that boundary thing is where it gets a little murky and a little messy. Definitely. And that's where those big wedges come in. Like,
and to be specific with the boundaries, like, one, we talk was so critical even before you get to boundaries is understanding the marriage has to be a priority. It has to be in first place. So if you're struggling with, maybe you're a newlywed and you're struggling with leaving your family of origin and cleaving to your spouse, and then you're going to that family of origin to talk about stuff, that's what's not okay. So it's like, you need to recognize honoring my spouse is more important than me feeding information or getting that sustenance or emotional support from the family. So in your mind and heart, you got to get that right first.
Right.
Then with that mindset right and heart right, then okay, well, what are the parameters, right? Who are safe people? I thought about the couple where they were talking about how they enjoy couples, like hanging out with couples.
Oh yeah. Airing it out over dinner. Like, yeah, I'm safe now. We got 3 or 4 other people here. Let's throw it all out there, right? Like,
and they were fine with it. Both of them were in agreement, but we had to help them to understand how that was actually sabotaging the safety.
Yeah.
Meaning they're looking to that friend circle as the source of safety and freedom and joy, and they were being conflict avoiding at home. That's what's not okay.
Yeah.
If you were talking about stuff at home and you want to talk with friends, that's fine, but they were avoiding that and kind of being passive aggressive with laughter and jokes with the friends. And so we have to be honest and real about that, because man, we are definitely learning so many people hide not just behind pain, they hide behind a smile and laughter.
Yeah, hide behind humor.
More than often.
Yeah, hide behind humor. But it's the deferred maintenance of being able to understand why is we having such a hard time talking about vulnerable things with each other. What have we done and what kind of environment or relationship have we created over time that makes me want to wall up, shell up, and kind of stay surface level with you. Or if I have a frustration, or I have a wound, I have something that's going on where I'm struggling, and I'm like, I'm not going to tell my wife, I'm not going to tell my spouse, I'm going to just keep that here. We got to start asking questions like, why are we doing that? Why are we self-protecting? Why are we staying in our bubble? Why are we staying walled up, closed off, and like surface level versus being vulnerable? We call it being naked. Like, why are we not being naked with one another? And then, all the confusion and misunderstanding creeps in. And now you have that scenario, you feel like, well, I don't just have nobody to talk to. I need to talk to somebody. And then you end up drifting, right? And most times you're drifting apart. And that's where we got to get back to, is like, what's going on here? To where we're in that kind of headspace and heart space. Yeah,
and I think to your point earlier, the couples who are great, man, we partner great with finances, we're working on the business, we're great with parenting, but then there's not this deep, emotional or spiritual connection. We have to fight against complacency, and thinking, oh, well, we're good. Could it be better though? Right?
Well, that's just me.
That's
a big one.
That's just who I am.
That's just me, man. I'm just not an emotional person or emotions. This one's been fresh too lately. Emotions is not even a big deal. They're not even important.
My feelings don't matter.
Feelings and all that don't matter. Like, it don't matter. It's like, those are big beliefs. Those are big beliefs that will creep up in your relationship.
There'll be a huge barrier. One, because even if you don't think they matter to your spouse, and they affect your spouse. So we have to be willing to get uncomfortable and grow past, this is just me. Like, yeah, but we didn't get married to stay the same way we met.
Man, you better be evolving. And this is men and women. So just to cut through the stereotypical stuff, the women is always emotional, the man is always like, this is both sides of the fence, man. This is women saying emotions, what? I don't. And men too, so it goes both ways.
And some of it is your natural wiring, but most of it is how you were nurtured, the environment you grew up in. But the good news is you can grow past it, you can work on it. You just have to start by recognizing it and acknowledging it.
Right, yeah. And it does wonders when you learn how to flip that switch. Like, I've been learning over the years how to be somewhat more emotionally vulnerable, how to share what I feel in a good way. I used to do it in a crazy way, right? Like in a dysfunctional way.
He knows like 2 emotions: anger.
Turn up. And then shut all the way off.
Passion and anger. Let's widen the spectrum.
I had to be rounded out a little bit. Like, bro, it's not, you gonna spike every time. You gotta smooth out a little bit. But I've tried to learn over the years how to gently express myself, to be vulnerable, to share when I'm feeling weak, to share when I actually love or appreciate. It's not always wounds. Sometimes it's just gentle love and nice words, kind words, considerate words and to do it more so often than less.
Right.
So that you're not left being confused about where I sit with you. Right? Yeah. Like, I want you to always know, man, Brock loved me. He hugged me, he kissed me, he told me something nice. Or, man, Brock told me he's struggling right now. He's going through it. And now you're not sitting back wondering what's going on with my husband.
Right.
That you're more in the loop. Because a lot of times when we shut off like that, that is what it is. It's like the other person is confused. Like, something's off, but I don't know.
Right.
And they're not talking to me.
Yeah.
And then there's just that misunderstanding and confusion that happens.
Right. It actually made me think about, I don't know when I say this, but like, I don't know, we heard this like song, right, that's just on regular radio, and you just knew all the words, and I thought to myself, how do you know these words? Like, when when are you listening to this, right? Because we, for many years, like, we're together all the time, right? We're next to each other, but you can have ear pods or whatever in your ear, and just this whole other world that you can be in. And it reminds me of spouses that are not sharing emotionally, right? What is that soundtrack that's playing? And like, you feel like, man, do I even know you? Like, what world are you living in? You think you know them, but it's like this surface knowledge.
Right.
And that's heartbreaking. Like, you don't want to be together 20, 25 years and then feel like, man, do I really know you? Can I trust you?
I don't know you. We ain't talk. We don't know you. Living in a whole nother world.
Right.
I mean, in 20 plus years, but also 2 years.
Right.
3 years, 5 years. Like, it could be.
Yeah, we felt that roommate. We felt that early. I was like, I can't do 20 years of this.
Yeah, no, not like that. Not like that. Because you get out of that dating phase, and then you get married, and then you start, people start coasting, or you have children, whatever, like career stuff, you start just getting in the grind. And then you end up forgetting, I need to be vulnerable with my spouse to talk about some stuff other than business and schedules and trips and all the other stuff. And it's like surface.
Right.
And then you end up missing the deep connection.
Yeah.
And it ends up waning. You end up waning over time, man. So it's a very, very important topic.
It is.
For sure.
So let's get practical, right? For those who struggle, right? And I'll be honest, I'm one of those. I've had to learn. Brock is actually more expressive and talkative than I am, if y'all hadn't noticed.
Well,
but it's a gift.
Communication gift.
It
right?
is, and it's a gift to me
2 or 3,
and the marriage first. So I love it. I love it. So let's give some tips practically on both sides. If you struggle with it, but also the other spouse that maybe they're good, but they need to create that space and safety for their spouse. So what would you say?
I would say talk about it directly and just say, hey, I have a need for emotional communication beyond surface level things, and that's something that I want to do more often. And kind of put it up front, so it's not like you're trying to sneak it in or maneuver it in, but just be like, man, I want to know you more, I want to go deeper with you more, and I want it to be beneficial for both of us. Like, say, so it's not some hostile, like, tell me what's in your heart, tell me what you feel,
or you need
why you always on that. Now it's like, well, bro, I don't
you're
want
attacking them versus right. No, I love that.
So that would be the first thing, is just making a request. As a spouse to a spouse, like, man, we have physical needs, man, I want you. Man, we have financial needs. We need some food in the house, right? Like, we need the pantry. We need to pay these bills. But also, like, I need to bond with you.
Right.
I want to know you more. Can we have some emotional conversations in a safe way? There's nothing wrong with saying that.
Yeah.
Right. And that would be healthy and safe and not hostile and accusatory.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think I love what you said. I want to know you more. I think that's totally different than, man, you don't ever talk. You know, it's that really diffuses a situation.
Right.
I would say if you don't know where to start, we found like conversation starters are very helpful. Yeah. Even as much as you know a person, you'd be surprised what you can learn if you're willing to get outside of the box. Ask silly things. And I tend to be like a deep person. I don't like small talk. I don't want to talk about the weather. So just doing silly things, but also deep things, and just taking that interest in learning your spouse. Right.
Nah, for sure. Lately, man, I've been seeing like us writing letters to each other has been really dope. I mean, it's just another way, if you're not a big communicator verbally, there's a lot more you can say in writing something down or sending an email, type an email up or something. Yeah, just find a different way to kind of say some things that you want to say, but maybe you don't, the face-to-face is too intimidating or the verbal exchange is too intimidating. Just kind of start with something light and go from there. I even told some people a few weeks ago that I was coaching with, I gave them this tip, and it was because there was some friction there. I said, start by being vulnerable and just saying, I love you and I really want to work this out.
Yeah.
That's not a paragraph, that's not nothing, but that's being vulnerable and not being hard. You know, when you have those issues in the marriage, you're like, you don't want to be the first one to be in. Saying, I ain't going to say nothing, I'm going to just stay mad. Well, vulnerability is, I'm not going to keep acting like that. I love you and I want to work this out. I can't wait till we get back. That's vulnerability. You can text that, you can email that, you can write a little note. But that's being emotionally vulnerable, and it's a small little thing that might go a long way.
Yeah. Yeah, I think, too, in the absence of words, especially when you struggle, like, just touch goes a long way. It creates that safety. It's calming. It's grounding. And there is a connection, right? And I know some couples, you together so long, it's like you don't need a whole lot of words. You kind of are connected. And so I think that's a good way to bridge the gap until you get the words.
Right. Definitely. And did you say ask questions?
Well, I didn't follow through with that, but kind of the conversation started. But I think that's worth exploring. Yeah,
just asking questions. I still try to ask you questions. I'm like, man, there's a lot more I want to know about you. Are you still a mystery? Like, ask questions, open-ended questions, and then just let your spouse kind of talk, and then just let it be a kind of somewhat of a normal occurrence. To where you just create, like, we're not just always talking about bills, always talking about kids, always talking about
it's not transactional.
Right. It's like, man, tell me about your family. Tell me about your childhood. Tell me about something you love doing. Like, and then just let it go from there. It's going to be some little tidbits of emotion stuff that can come out of there and you bond, but you're getting to know each other. You know?
Right. And then I can think of things that you discovered recently that I thought you just knew about me. And you're like, no, never.
No, girl, I ain't know that about you. No, tell me more, you know what I mean?
And it just brings understanding and empathy. So let's park for a minute because you said something, asking open-ended questions. We got to do a little education. We might have to do a follow-up on this.
We might have to, man. We about to run out of time. If we go all the way there, we might go over, but
So just briefly, what's the difference between like an open-ended question versus a steering or targeted question?
Yeah. Well, open-ended is, so tell me a little bit more about yourself.
Yeah.
You can go anywhere with that, like, and tell somebody more about themselves. But you be like, tell me about all them lies you told me last.
Or this.
Hold on.
Honey, can you help me understand what you meant when you said that versus did you say this because you feel like XYZ? You're trying to diagnose and psychoanalyze.
Yeah, I'm trapped at that point. Yeah. I gotta go ahead and admit whatever you said was the truth that you leading to.
Yes.
Like versus me being able to just unpack where I was at the time. So don't do leading questions, please.
Or
and it's
real
real
slick.
Slick.
You don't want to lead with it's
real
super slick. You can have a good tone, but you're introducing an idea instead of leaving space for them to show up and be authentic, right? And so it's kind of forcing what you believe in, your perception in the moment instead of, man, I could have this wrong, let me find out, right?
Yeah. And that eats away at emotional vulnerability, because then you feel like you're getting trapped all the time. Right. So you don't want to be vulnerable. You don't want to be emotional or share some things. And so those things kind of eat away too. So be mindful of that for sure.
Yeah, or don't assume that you already know. I so many couples come to mind. Oh yeah, I know why she feel that. Well, why don't you ask? And then it's like this whole thing opens up, and it's like, wow.
But it never opens up if you shut the emotional connection down when they're trying. They're like somebody's trying to share and be vulnerable or emotional. Well, I already know that already. Like you already told me that. How do we fix it? It's like, well, y'all just kind of stamped out the emotional intimacy that was getting ready to happen to try to get to past what you think you already know. And now the person eventually is going to be like, I just don't want to share nothing else no more because you know everything anyway.
Right.
And I don't never get a chance to be heard anyway. So
yeah,
those are definitely emotional killers for sure.
Well, that's gonna have to be a to be continued because we gotta unpack that.
Yeah, for sure, man. Hopefully y'all got some nuggets out of the convo, man. Emotional communication, boundaries, respecting outlets, all those things, and creating safety in the marriage so that y'all can deal with things internally, and then the outside. Counsel will be for high priority items, man.
Definitely.
Big things.
But I want to say, if y'all messed up, you dropped the ball, it can be repaired, it can be restored, trust can be renewed and built up again. So if you need help working through that, you need a game plan, holler at us.
Yeah, contact us.
We can do coaching hours or an intensive if you need more intentional time and work.
Yeah. Well, from us to y'all, much love.
Yes.
And until next time, we'll see you soon. Peace.